Hello, and welcome to the Health and Science Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elaine Barreto, a scientist turned health coach. Here, we explore the intersection between lifestyle, psychology, and mind-body medicine to improve your relationship with your thoughts and emotions, with your body, with food, with pain, and with other people. I'll bring you the latest scientific discoveries and provide practical tools to empower you to take care of your own health. If you suffer from chronic pain, gut issues, disordered eating, or other chronic conditions, or if you just want to optimize your health and well-being to live a long and fulfilling life, you're at the right place. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to the third episode of the Health and Science Podcast. I'm Dr. Elaine Barreto. So excited to be here with you guys again to talk about a topic that I really care about, which is resilience. It's so important in the context of mental health, of overall well-being, of being able to withstand difficulties in life, including health concerns, chronic conditions, chronic pain. So I think learning how to be more resilient is something that all of us could use, but especially people that are struggling with their own health and well-being. This is why I thought it was important to make a dedicated episode for resilience, which will be then the third on our series of the psychological constructs that can affect chronic pain in a positive way as protective factors. Just before we jump right in, I want to invite you, if you haven't yet, to visit our website, which is www.mindbodyfoodpain.com. At the moment, there is a free guide to 7 things you might not know about chronic back pain, and you might be surprised to read a few facts that you might never have thought about or heard about. So if you're curious, please come over there and download it and have a look and share with people in your life that you also know that might be suffering from back pain. Okay? And this topic of resilience, there is a fun fact about it. My husband actually didn't know that the podcast episode this week was going to be about resilience, but we were spending the weekend together with our kid and having fun, and suddenly he turned to me and he said, "My dear, you became so much more resilient." And it's true. If I look back at my history, right, of when we met up to where we're here right now, it's been 15 years or so. I was a very different person back there. And there were many tools that I learned along the way that turned me into the person that I am now, way more resilient, not towards just my pain and my health conditions, but towards challenges in health and life in general, really. So I hope that the pieces of science and wisdom I have to share with you today might be also helpful to you or to other people in your life that you might know that are in need of this. And here's this little spoiler alert, because I'm really into providing practical tools. At the end of this episode, I'll be talking about a guided meditation audio that I'll be able to access in my website for moments where you need to strengthen your resilience, right? When I met him, it was the first time I had just left my home country, Brazil, and I had moved to Denmark to do my PhD studies. And everything was so different there, right? It was my first time ever living abroad, living alone. And so much about it was different. The culture, the weather, the people, the language, the landscapes, everything. And I struggled. And the first 3 months, I complained a lot. Those that are listening to this episode, which are my friends from that time, they can tell you about it. I came around September, which was pretty much the end of summer in Denmark and starting to become this kind of autumn weather, dark, gray, raining. And it had just been my birthday in Brazil in the end of August, and I had just said goodbye to all my good friends, made like a little farewell party and left everything I knew as true and everything that I could rely on, which was my family and my friends and my job security, everything that I had that I left behind to start something new that I didn't know where it was going, right? And at that point, I suffered already from chronic pain. I do struggle with shoulder chronic pain ever since I was 14 or so. So it was hard because I still had my pain. It behaved different in the weather there because it was colder. I didn't know how to wear the proper clothes yet. I didn't have that many friends. I had to learn new things in my PhD that I had never learned in my basic education in Brazil. So it was hard. And I know that many people would have given up at that point. I actually met a few students that basically just went home after a few months and never came back. And after 3 months, I basically said, you know what, it's December, it's Christmas, I'm going home. And I don't know if I'm coming back. I said goodbye to many people and I said, maybe I'll see you next year, maybe not. And I went home and it was summer and it was Christmas and it was wonderful to see my family again. And I struggled to go back. I was like, should I really keep doing this? This is so hard. But I did. I came back and I still had this mindset of complaining a lot about things and finding everything difficult. It's true that I managed to complete my PhD and I made a lot of friends and that's where I met my boyfriend, now husband. But I wasn't as resilient as I am right now. And that's why it's important to start by defining what is resilience, because resilience is not just being able to withstand everything that life throws at you. It's about how you surf it and how you come back at the end of it. So you imagine this concept of a spring. If you take a spring and you push it really hard, you compress it until it becomes like very short, and then you let it go again, it will bounce back to this original shape, right? And if you keep doing this many times, over time, the ability of the spring to bounce back again will start to decrease, right? It won't go back all the way to where it was, but it will almost. It will take really long stress or use to be able to destroy the shape of this spring. It's kind of analog to us. When life is throwing all the challenges and stresses at us, being resilient means after we've gone through it, can we be able to come back at the end of it being pretty much almost the same person as we were before, or maybe even stronger? Or do we come back at the other side feeling wore down and like we can't handle life anymore, right? So if you're a resilient person, you'll come back at the end of it. You'll be able to bounce back at your almost original condition or even stronger. And people that are resilient, they have certain character traits. So they're usually optimistic and they have a very strong sense of purpose. Those character traits help them to withstand all the things that life throws at them, right? So in the context of chronic pain, for example, this concept of being resilient is very dynamic. It's not going to be with you the whole time. You can't be optimistic the whole time or remember your sense of purpose the whole time. But when you're going through your pain, what you will have is this capacity of still maintaining a good mood most of the time, despite your pain, right? So how do you keep good spirits in general, become like an optimistic person in a good mood despite your pain, instead of being bitter and just complaining and just down the dumps, right? And the other thing is, if you're resilient and you're dealing with pain, what you will try to do is find coping strategies to deal with it. And this is something you might not have now yet. So I wanted to just take a moment to be really compassionate and have this empathy for people that have been really struggling with chronic conditions or pain for a very long time. And it's hard because they don't find themselves resilient anymore. They don't have this capacity of being their old selves because it's been too much. It's been too long, and there were other things that happened in their lives. Maybe they lost some loved ones in their life, or they've gone through other traumatic experiences. And it's so hard to even think about being resilient in these situations. But the good news is being resilient is not something that you have to be born with. It's something you can cultivate. This whole podcast episode is what are strategies that we can apply in our lives to increase our resilience, to be able to face life's challenges and stresses, right? So to do that, we have to strengthen, to enhance, to cultivate our inner strengths. The inner strengths are already hardwired in our nervous system. All of us are born as humans with the capability of developing those inner strengths. Some of us already have developed them more, and some of us less, but that doesn't mean that all of us are not capable of cultivating them. Okay, they're hardwired in our nervous system. So, for example, the first one is the sense of agency. Having agency is feeling like you have the power to deal with something. A sense of control, that you can influence your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own outcomes. And it's like this ability to handle something that is being thrown at you, right? This is having a sense of agency. People that have been going through pain or through a long-term condition, not only health, but anything in life that has been going on for very long, like, for example, being a caretaker, right? Sometimes they feel so powerless. They feel like nobody can help them anymore, and they lost completely this sense of agency, of being able to influence their own future and their own outcomes. And when we're doing coaching, this is something that we really try to cultivate in people, is to help people regain their sense of agency. All of us have the strength and the power to change the outcomes of our own lives, or at least of dealing with our own emotions and our own thoughts. We can learn how to do that, and we can increase that sense of agency. Okay? And this is one of the ways we can do that is by regaining perspective. Sometimes we really lost perspective of things. We are stuck in a certain thought pattern, and we think, this sucks. This is crap, right? Where I am right now is just awful. I can't see anything good about this. I can't see how anybody's going to be able to help me. And you need some external help sometimes to be able to reframe your perspective. Sometimes it's a good friend that will tell you, but look, it's not exactly like that. You're painting a very black and white picture. Let's look at other things that could be also true at the same time. It can be true that you're struggling and you're going through some things, but it can also be true that there are other good things happening in your life, that you are a good person and you have all these good things about you. You're always a good friend. You're always there to help other people despite whatever you're going through. You're always so resourceful. You're such a good problem solver. Whatever it is, when you're trying to regain your perspective, it's so good to remind yourself, oh, what are the things that people are always complimenting you about, or that are always talking about you, that are your positive character traits or your positive inner strengths, right? Everybody has them, and I'm sure you do right now. You might be feeling in a spot where you can't see them. That's why you might need help. Relationships are the key to enhancing your resilience, right? Because if you can't have a relationship with someone in your life right now, which is a friend or a partner or anybody like this in your social circle, then seek help. Seek help of a professional. This is also a relationship, okay? And this person will be able to help you to reframe your perspective right now. For example, this morning I was dropping my son in the morning in front of our house to pick up his school bus. And when we looked at the sky, there was this huge full moon. And it was so bright. It was so beautiful. You could really see its shape perfectly. There were no clouds covering it. And I just asked him, did you ever stop to think about how we are here, standing literally on top of this huge planet called Earth, and how we are staring at the sky, looking at another space object, right, that we can see just because the sun is reflecting upon it. And if you look from here, it just looks like this flat thing, part of the landscape in the sky, like a cloud or anything else. But if you really try to imagine, that thing is actually a 3D huge body. And we are also standing on top of this huge 3D body that if somebody would see us from space, we wouldn't even show up as a tiny dot. right? And every time I see the moon when it's really full like this and so beautiful, I can't stop thinking about it, on how insignificant we are, and at the same time how amazing it is that we get to live here and experience this life and be on this planet here as a human being and be alive and get to see this whole universe. I mean, how incredible is it? So you can have both feelings at the same time. You can feel small and insignificant, and you can feel just part of everything, right? And this is the kind of perspective I'm talking about. When I have this sort of mindful moments and I really connect with that, everything else becomes small. If I didn't have a good night of sleep, or I was feeling a bit grumpy because my kid was being difficult to get dressed to go to school or whatever, or if I have a stressful day of work ahead of me, or anything else is happening in my life and I was busy with the noise in my head, and I gain this minute of perspective, I'm like, but I'm here and I get to experience all of this and be in awe and amazement and wonder about everything and the mystery of it all. Suddenly all my problems and my concerns disappear, and I just regain my energy and my perspective, and I just feel empowered to move on with my day and see how I can make the best out of this day and of this life that's been given to me, right? So this is what I'm talking about. If you've ever experienced a moment like this, then you might relate to what I'm trying to talk about here. Something that we also called intentionality, right? It's being able to choose, to act, to commit, to take action, to center yourself on what is your intention. What do I want to get done with my life? What do I want to get done today? What do I want to get done in the next hour? How do I want to feel? And you set an intention and you move on with this intentionality, right? And this also helps you cultivate a growth mindset. So a growth mindset is when you take on the challenges and you learn from them, instead of thinking, oh, I can't take another challenge being thrown at me, right? It's too much. Can I please get a break and not have anything? People that are cultivating a growth mindset are thinking, okay, let me take a break here. This is a lot, but I don't have a choice, right? This is life, ups and downs. Things have to get done. I'm an adult. It's part of my experience here. How can I go through this and learn something out of it? How can I take this experience as a challenge and go at it face on, full on, chest forward, right? And say, I'll face it. I'll do my very best. And what can I learn from it? It's this growth mindset, instead of thinking that things are a burden. Yes, there are many things in our adult lives that we don't want to have to handle, really. Sometimes it is even simple things as exercise. We'll get out of bed and we'll think, I really don't want to do anything today. I'm sore. I didn't sleep. I have so much, And it's these little things. We have to pay bills. We have to pay taxes. We have to work. If we go from this perspective, everything just feels heavy and a burden. Why do I have to do so many things, right? But if we go at them like, I get to do them. I am alive. I have a body. I get to do all those things. And some of them are unpleasant and some of them are more fun. But since I have to do them, how can I take them from a growth perspective? How can I learn something from them or do them the best I can and just be done with it, so that I can move on to other things that are more interesting or more aligned to my sense of purpose, right? So these are like small thought reframing that we can go about life to feel more resilient. And when we go through hardships or challenges, if we have cultivated our resilience, we're going to feel more confident to deal with them. We're going to feel less stressed, and we're going to feel more calm and more centered. So if you know a person in your life that you can think about right now, and you say, wow, I was listening to this this podcast episode and I thought about this person. This person is my reference. He or she is so resilient, right? It seems like no matter what is coming, they're always able to deal with it. What is the first quality of this person that comes to your mind, right? Is it that it's just grit? They just have this grit. No matter what comes, they will just go and do it, right? Is it that they're confident? Is it that they're calm? I would say probably more often than not, this person will have all of those qualities at the same time, right? Because if you have grit, but you always get this nervousness and this stress about you, you're not being resilient, right? You're still being affected in a way that probably won't give you the ability to bounce back afterwards. In order to be able to bounce back, you have to be centered and collected. And that's why it doesn't just help to cultivate all this growth, go get, big, grandiose thoughts of being strong. The other thing we really have to cultivate on the other end of it is our ability to feel gratitude and compassion. When we are able to feel compassion for all beings here on earth that are also going through a similar experience than us, and even animals and plants and nature and everything that is happening around us, can we feel compassion for them? Can we feel empathy? And can we feel gratitude for even the small things? Because when we're going through hardship and we have all these values with us, all these inner strengths, we're going to feel okay. This right now is not nice, but I am still so grateful that I get to be on the other end of it eventually. Everything in life is temporary, right? Even pain. Probably people that have chronic pain will tell you, I have been having this pain for as long as I know, or 30 years or whatever, and it never stops. And it could feel very true to you right now. It feels definitely true to me. But the truth is, the pain is not with us 24/7. We do experience a break on it, some moments of stillness and of freedom, right? So everything in life is temporary. How can we hold on to that in order to be able to, go through the ups and the downs with the same quality of optimism, of compassion, of gratitude, of empathy, of being able to have perspective? We might lose it for a while, for a few hours, for a few days, for a few years in our life. We might really lose the sense of perspective. But how can we stop right now and say, I need to get my shit together? I need to really stop right now and figure out, is it really everything bad? Or what are the good things that I'm not seeing right now because I'm in the middle of this? So this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. And if you're stuck and you don't have anybody that can help you, please reach out for help. Okay, relationships are one of the most important things, as I mentioned in the beginning, to help us grow all those inner strengths that are hardwired on us and gain this capability of being able to deal with stuff. Okay, I hope this gave you some food for thought. And maybe you can sit down and think about some strategies on how you can implement this in your life right now to feel a bit more resilient. What are a few steps that you can take to increase your sense of purpose or your optimism? How can you make your daily life, every day, if you don't think in big steps, but think for today, how can I feel a little bit more optimistic or purposeful or intentional, or cultivate, my mood so that I can overall feel better and more capable to deal with my stuff. One of the things that really helps is meditation. When we take some time to really calm down our mind and listen to the thoughts that are going on in our minds without judging them, remembering that, we don't have to believe all of the thoughts that pop in our minds. That really helps us to reframe our thoughts and our overall sense of well-being. So thinking of that, I have recorded specially for you a guided meditation that is seeking to remind you of the inner strength you already have and cultivate your sense of resilience. So if you're going through a tough time, or even if you're not and you just want to be more prepared for life, feel better about yourself, or you're thinking of someone that is really going through something right now and is not seeing it, how they can get out of it, please send them over also to this link, which is www.mindbodyfoodpain.com/resilience. I'll be putting it in the show notes. So it's for free. You don't have to give an email or anything. You can just go there and listen to it as many times as you want. It's a 15-minute guided session. So take a 15-minute of your day whenever you need. Sit down somewhere comfortable and have a listen and let me know what you thought of it, if it helped. Okay, it's done from my heart. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, we're going to be switching gears. This was the last episode of the series on the psychological constructs of chronic pain. We're going to be moving on into another topic, which is really relevant right now in the world, and especially also here in Singapore, which is diabetes. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what is pre-diabetes, what is happening to our bodies, how can we prevent it, how can we revert it, and there might be many people that right now, since the prevalence is so high. So I hope you're going to be staying tuned for the next series on other chronic conditions as well. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you take care of yourself. Stay well. Bye.